All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakah Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who rule well and who push in the 100% truth. All right, peace and salutations, unto the hopeful elect. All right, and the name of this video is Behold, he cometh in the clouds, and every eye shall see him. All right, and this title, comes from this precept here. This is Revelation 1 and 7. All right, okay, I'll read it. It says, this is the book of Revelation 1 and verse 7. It says, Behold, he cometh with clouds. All right, those clouds are not literal clouds. Okay, those clouds are talking about the chariots of the Lord. All right, and every eye shall see him. All right, the him there is Yahweh Shai. All right, when he coming back, to save his elect. Okay, every eye gonna see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, Amen. And you're gonna have real chariots, but the main big attraction gonna be that the biggest chariot Yahushua gonna be riding on. All right, the massive chariot, the chariot that likened onto a mountain. It's gonna block out the sky. Just like how we see it in this movie Independence Day. Okay, that's the curse. Gonna go forth on the earth. All right. And here talking about also those which pierced him, talking about those who were a part of the crucifixion of Yahweh Shai, those wicked Romans, who now reincarnated, are back, who have high position, okay, who turn to generals, in America, they're gonna see Yahweh Shai coming back. All right. So that's the curse we're gonna go forth the whole earth. All right. Let's get that. This is Zechariah chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. See, so this chariot here, the flying rule, this chariot was a small chariot. All right, verse 3 says, Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For every one that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it, and every one that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it. I will bring it forth, saith the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief. All right, that thief is, Esau Edom. Okay, the so-called white man, right, who ruling this earth in wickedness. And into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name, those ishes, all right, those imposters, those pretenders who pretending to be, the Israelites, okay, who in our land, all right, and it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof, and the stones thereof. When those chariots in Babylon, they're gonna destroy, laser be gonna be sent down and gonna destroy those, the heathen, those wicked jakes, the 2/3 of our people, they're gonna be destroyed, zapped, okay, by that laser beam, by the chariots, all right. So yeah, the Lord is coming back with vengeance, to take vengeance, you know, on the nations, and as we read there in Revelation 1:7, those who pierced him, the Lord coming back to destroy them. All right, let's get this precept. This is Isaiah chapter 66 and verse 15. It says, "For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire." All right, those chariots, so those laser beams, all right, gonna be zapping. Verse 16, "For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai shall be many." All right, the Lord gonna destroy a lot. Okay, the Lord not coming back as a man. Okay, like before, the Lord gonna destroy those heathens, wicked jakes too. All right, this is Isaiah again, Isaiah 63 and verse 1. It says, "Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Bozrah? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save." All right, that man is Yahweh Shai. Okay, verse 2, it says, "Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat?" A lot of killing gonna be made. Okay, "I have trodden the wine press alone, and of the people there was none with me." All right, and Yahweh Shai not gonna come off the chariots. All right, um, he gonna be in the chariots, but he gonna be given the orders, to send down those laser beams. All right, I mean, if Yahweh Shai wants, he could do that, but he not gonna do that. Do have to do that, But he's the ones who gonna be given the orders to send down those laser beams on the chariots, So whatever killing, whoever Jake gonna be killed, he done it is from Yahweh Shai. Okay. For I will tread them in my anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. All right. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeem is come. Okay, Yahushua gonna come back to save his elect, to redeem Israel. All right, so let's get this precept from Acts here. This is Acts 1 and 9. All right, "And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him." All right, that cloud is the chariot. Yahushua get beamed up, by the tractor beam. He get beamed up by tractor beam beamed him up in the chariot. All right, out of their sight, and while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel, the angels, which come to pick up Yahushua, which also said, "Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahweh Shai, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven." All right, Yahweh Shai gonna come back, all right, in those chariots, all right, right, with vengeance. Okay, let's get a precept in the Apocrypha. Second Ezra 13:1. It says, "And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea." All right, that it moved all the waves thereof. Okay, and the sea talking about the firmament, the sky, the Shemayim, the heavenly waters. Okay, and as chariots, moving in the atmosphere, in the sky. All right, okay, that's what that is there. Verse 3, it says, "And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven." All right, that man's Yahushai. You know, he's coming back with all those chariots, thousands of chariots, and when he turned his countenance, Slakia, to look, all the things trembled that was seen under him. All right, and they see that massive chariot coming in, all those chariots. All right, all the those people in Babylon, they're gonna be afraid. All right, and this goes back to the Revelation 1:7. All right, yeah, every eye shall see him, and whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. All right, as Yahushua given the commands to the angels, to send down that laser beam, to destroy the wicked, the two-thirds, the wicked, etc. All right, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. That this here is the other nation, the heathen nations. Okay, they're gonna be fighting against each other. NATO versus the brick nations. They're gonna be fighting. That'll be during World War III. After Babylon is destroyed. All those nations gonna fight against each other. And when they see how shy, they're gonna team up. All right. They're gonna team up to come against Yahushai. All right. To subdue him, as you see. Let's look up that word subdue. Let's see here. Subdue. Subdue meaning.
Subdue.
Subdue. It says overcome. And quiet. So if I pronounce the word wrong, or bring under control. Okay, that would they will be trying to do, trying to conquer Yahushai, which they wouldn't be able. All right. So they should try to subdue the man, that came out of the sea, which is the sky, the Shemayim. All right, Yahushai. Okay, but I beheld, and lo, well, actually, yeah. Let's see here, and also, so they're gonna be coming up to try to fight against Yahushai, in the Levant, the fertile crescent, which in not fertile, which now are not fertile, the so-called Middle East, Israel, our land, in the valley of, Jehoshaphat, in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shabbat, which means Yahweh's judgment. That's where the Lord gonna deal with them, judge them, gonna destroy them. All right, let's get a precept. Let's get something here. Joel, this is the book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 11. It says, "Assemble yourselves and come all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord." All right, the angels, that's the mighty ones. All right, verse 12, it says, "Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, or Jehoshaphat. It's like, for there, for there will I sit to judge. There with the massive chariot, gonna judge them. Okay, will massive Yahushua will come in a massive chariot, in the valley of Jehoshaphat, to judge them. All right, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. All right. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you dung, for the press is full. The fat overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes and multitudes in the valley of decision. Decision. All right. A lot of troop soldiers. All right. For the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. All right, because they're gonna try to send missiles. At the Lord is Yahushua chariots. So that's why the sky gonna be darkened. Okay, gonna be black hole, that smoke and stuff. Okay, so the Lord gonna judge them. They're gonna destroy them, finish them off. All right. This is the day when the Lord will rise up to the prey, all these nations. All right, let's get that precept. This is Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 8. It says, "Therefore wait ye upon me, saith Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them my indignation." All right, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured, and with the fire of my jealousy. All right. Okay, the Lord gonna assemble them at the valley, all those heathen nations at the valley of Jehoshaphat, to destroy them. All right. Um, there's Isaiah, or it's like, yeah, Isaiah 34, and I'll start verse 1. It says, "Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them, he hath delivered them to the slaughter. Their slain also shall be cast out, and their sting shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood. All the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll." All right, that's the mushroom cloud. That sweeping action of the missiles. And all their hosts shall fall down as the leaf falleth or from the vine, and all a falling fig as a falling fig. It's like, from the fig tree. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Alright, that's the nuclear missiles. Okay, behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment. Right, the sword of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness and with the blood of lambs, and goats, and the fat of the kidneys of rams. For Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai hath a sacrifice in Bozrah, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea, Edom. And the Lord gonna destroy them nations, Edom, those Edomites and the nations. Alright. The lambs, all those wicked jakes, the Lord gonna destroy. Alright. And the unicorn shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness. For it is the day of Yahweh's vengeance, and the year of recompenses, for the controversy of Zion. Alright. That's the vengeance, the Lord for Yahushai for what they do. Lord gonna pour out his vengeance on them for what they do to Israel. Alright. Okay. So let's go back to the 2nd Ezra 13 and 6. It says, But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. Alright, that's the massive chariot what Yahushai gonna be riding on. Alright, but I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. Alright, the prophet Ezra, he cannot see the start to the finish, of it. I have to tell you how big that chariot was. Chariot, that Yahushai chariot. Alright, verse 8 it says, And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him, alright, all those nations, were so afraid, and yet does fight, and all by then, the MOTB done implemented, so them don't have that hip in them, so Esau will be controlling them to fight. And that's the Lord doing that to them, because the Lord is the one who bringing that, MOTB. Okay, so they will be afraid, they will see it, or they'll see that Yahushua coming in with that massive chariot, but they still will fight. Okay, they will be still forced to fight. Alright. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lift up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire. Alright, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. Alright, and this is symbolic, not literally fire coming out to the Lord mouth. Yahushua mouth is the orders where he given the angels, to send out them laser beams out of them chariots to destroy all, them nations, alright? And they will all mix together and blast of fire. The flaming breath and the great tempest fell with violence, Zakia, upon the multitude, which was prepared to fight, and burnt them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. Alright? Okay, so only dust and smoke left in them, them just gonna be ash. When the Lord done with them nations. Alright? So I hope this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakakodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who pushing the 100% truth and who rule well. you know, peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect. Now, wa abad babal shalom.